You know, it's funny when some refer to me as a shameless self-promoter. Um, yeah, I guess it used to upset me a little bit because there was definitely a motive behind it that wasn't completely selfish. It's like I was trying to open the door for a lot of people. But I have found the best way to answer certain critics is just to own it. And the more ridiculous it is to own it, because people are going to say it anyway. Um, it was a long time ago, somebody asked me, a long time ago relative to, I don't know, now, I guess it was about 7 years ago, and a very beautiful woman came up to me after I had done a poetry reading and asked me if I would do a workshop on ecstatic love and poetry. And I thought about it. I mean, it's definitely a philosophical area of mine that's been there since I was probably 8 or 9, wondering why my parents, who were supposed to love each other, were at each other's throats all the time. And then I started wrestling with other parts of it, you know, that whole thing with puberty and puppy love, and some more dog-like as the teens grew on. But it was really in my late teens when I discovered Paramahansa Yogananda and started to explore the different aspects of love. And through that heritage, I guess, if you will, it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I was introduced to Rumi by a friend of mine. I had read The Prophet by Gibran probably in my early 30s. And there were people that would hear my poetry and make references to both of them, which caused me to, explore it. And I started to see the beauty in ecstatic poetry and how it connected into what by that time was no more of an amateur exploration of love, but a truly academic and philosophical one. We live in a world where, people get this Hollywood version of what love is about. And it just ain't so. You've got to learn to suffer with it well. In my early 40s, I started to get an understanding of that. I mean, the morning after the first time I made love with the person that ended up being with me for 2.5 years, I wrote love, and he was still holding on to me. We were both pretty exhausted, but me being a poet, I had to reach for a pen and a pad of paper. Fortunately, he was asleep. But I wrote, love is the Tai Chi of agony and bliss. Love is the poet's poison, that drink willingly drunk, which elevates us to illuminated bliss. Yet it is said, when said love passes, that the writer writes his most sublime, and I pray that I shall never write so well as to lose this true love of mine. Love is suffering. It is bliss. It's a lot of things. Love sometimes, in the face of a person that brings out the worst in you, or you in them, the only ethical thing that you can do is to let them go. Sometimes we are only there to teach someone for a very short time, and they us, and then you have to move on. It's taken a lot of time, and as I tell people all the time, wisdom, the formula for it is this: life kicks ass plus you learn something from it equals wisdom. This is a workshop that has developed over a long period of time. It is certainly not going to be all poetry. Most of it is not. And I will take the time that I'm given and figure it out from there as to how much time I'm going to allow for the question and answer period, where you get to take stabs at what I have to say or question them, or tell me what you feel, because that certainly is a major part of being a teacher, is to also be a willing student, a co-participant in the study. Quite frankly, I look around me a lot of times and I see how badly people do love, whether they're polyamorous or, regardless of whether they're a gay or straight couple. It's all the same form of suffering. It's just in different degrees with different reactions to those degrees. And, that's the interpersonal stuff. But along the lines of the spiritual, I used to tell people, if you watch shit, eat shit, listen to shit, are submerged in shit, your life will be shit. But if you are somebody that really feels that they need to be loved, the easiest answer for that is for you to start loving others. Not just doing kindness for them, without the expectation of it being returned, but really doing kindness to yourself with no expectation of growth whatsoever. Being kind to others with no expectation of return. Of course, when people take advantage of that and start behaving like jerks, again, the rule with regard to letting go is one that you should apply. The black hole that love, or let's just say the antithesis of love, indifference, and certainly lack of conscience falls into that. Illness, mental illness, where people are not capable of loving in a healthy way. Sometimes you just got to move on. But the main reason for that is that if you don't let go of love that has ended badly, it is like a poison to the well of your spirit. And, by walking around with a bitter heart, you're infecting everyone around you with that bitterness. And if you don't let go, the next time, the universe opens up and gives you the opportunity of love, that love is diminished because you're making the next cat or lady pay for the sins of someone else, for lack of a better term. But, I am going to be doing this workshop for the first time in its revamped version at Circle Quest in French Lick, Indiana. And I really hope that people will be there, and certainly I'd like you to attend. The experience hasn't been altogether that pleasant in discovering a lot of this stuff. Some people think it's wise, others think it's a lot of romantic drivel, and others think it's kind of like spiritual intoxication, and maybe it is a little of all those things, and maybe it's a little something more. So please do attend. Come and join me. We'll talk a little bit about love magic and some of those other things too. But, going down the list of things, I've looked over the years for topics to address. And when I did this before with about half the study and knowledge that I have right now, and without really the direction of where I wanted to go with it, it was pretty well attended. So, this is just my way of being a shameless self-promoter and saying, please, by all means, do come to my workshop. Thank you very much. This is Use the Fairy King. Have a wonderful life. Bye.